Broadcasting live from Trino, the Dark City on the plane of Gaia. This is TapTapConcede. Welcome, everybody, to TapTapConcede. My name is Graham. Joining me is Nelson.
Hey, that's me.
And Cameron.
Huh?
And today, we're going to be talking about Final Fantasy Limited, our initial thoughts of the format. But first, I want to remind everyone to check out our sponsor, Card Kingdom. CardKingdom.com/LRR. They are a sponsor of this show and many other Magic the Gathering things that we do. And we are keen about that because we think they're great. And you can get yourself, you probably by now, you probably can't get yourself Final Fantasy sealed product, but they only ship that within the U.S. They'll ship singles anywhere in the world. So get yourself some singles for Commander Brews. There's a lot of powerful Commander cards in this set.
Yeah.
Get going on that. Tell them we sent you. Ask for a button. Say, loading ready on sent me button, please. And they'll give you a little button that says a funny thing. And I don't remember what we're on now. Want to thank Dragon Shield. Use the code LRRMTG5 to get yourself a 5% discount on anything you buy on the Dragon Shield store. And, of course, this show and everything we do is brought to you by you and your kind support of our Patreon or by becoming a member on the YouTube channel. Thanks, everybody. Final Fantasy. I wasn't here on the Friday for the day one sealed draft.
Mm-hmm.
You were.
I was.
You're both here for that. Did you both do both of those, or just one or the other?
I sealed and drafted, and my draft deck I thought was pretty cool.
How did it go?
I got 4 copies of Cornered by Black Mages, and used that to do 15 damage and 1 for pre-combat main phase.
Cornered by Black Mages is 1 black for a sorcery. Target opponent sacrifices a creature of their choice. I don't know why. Hold on.
Possibly,
Pause. Nelson, is that new?
Cornered by Black Mages?
No. I know the card is new.
Oh,
the templating sacrifices a creature of their choice. Isn't it
Maybe.
always?
Usually it's just sacrifices a creature, means of their choice. Yeah, I've seen some templating stuff in this set that I thought was a little weird, like artifacts with the ability to say, like, this artifact instead of, like...
Well, that's a recent templating change that they made where it's like cards can refer to themselves as this card.
Yeah.
But
spelling it out that it's of their choice, I don't know. James, do you want to look at Sheoldred's Edict or something from a recent set and tell us whether or not the of their choice has been there? It's so hard. Even if judges are guilty of this too. All Magic players don't really read cards.
No,
that's true.
It's not a thing we do.
That's true.
We're not. We don't want to read cards. We want to play a game. Yeah. See, I think this is more typical. Sacrifice a creature.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that is new.
Huh.
Probably with this set. I don't know if they're going to keep it going forward. Maybe
it's just a templating thing that's useful for...
Oh, okay, Foundations.
Foundations has it on Blasphemous Edict.
Maybe
now, hang on. This is not the first time we've seen Blasphemous Edict, though, is it? Is there a previous printing of Blasphemous Edict?
No, I don't think so. I think Blasphemous Edict came with Foundations.
Oh,
I think this is the first time we've seen Blasphemous Edict.
Is
Blasphemous Act.
Is this just like a new player thing? Is this like...
It might
Probably.
be because this is the entry point set for this year.
Yeah, is this just like quality of life improvement for...
Mm-hmm.
Well, maybe all these edict effects are maybe there's a set of changes that try to spell out these common questions that they've been doing since Foundations, and maybe there wasn't as much to do about it because it wasn't as big a deal as when we changed to Enters, changed to this card. It's just a little bit different, but maybe there was a few guidelines like that. I haven't combed the... far reaches of the reprints to figure it out.
So yeah, it's that just sort of caught me off guard. Huh, interesting. All right.
I'm not super high on this card. I feel like if your deck's plan is all removal, it's great. But then in other situations, it seems pretty awkward.
Well, so something I was going to get into. Actually, sorry, let me just finish reading the card because the second part of the card is then you make the 0/1 Black Wizard token that says whenever you cast a non-creature spell, this deals 1 damage to each opponent. And the cards that make those tokens, I'm a big fan of. But something I've observed from my experience, which is mostly just the arena streamer event, is holy crap, there's a lot of removal in this set.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this is a removal intense format.
Right.
And so I assume that's because it's just there's so many legendary creatures and they all do cool stuff that they were like, well, we got to get some removal in there. So, I think you can have a pretty removal heavy deck because, yeah, you're right. The problem with a 3-mana Edict is cool, I got their 1/1 hero.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or their black mage.
Right. I mean, they might even have a bear that's not as valuable to them as their 1/1 hero, depending on how expensive their equipment was. But, often the 3 mana is going to be more than the value of the thing that you're making them sacrifice. I think when you're just including this card, when you have 4 of them, it's a little different. Like, that's like, this is my plan. So it's okay that the first one is bad and the second one's medium, because the third one is going to be annoying.
When you were abyssing your opponent every turn.
Yeah.
And then buying these back.
Oh, okay, sure. Yeah.
How you buying them
Trade
back?
or something?
There was an uncommon in red. I had the fire gem for one thing to discount my red spells. And then I also had a.
Is it Sorceress's Schemes?
That's the one.
Yeah,
right.
That's this is featuring Ultimecia from Final Fantasy VIII.
Yes.
3 in a red sorcery. Return target instant or sorcery card from your graveyard or exiled card with flashback to your hand, and you add a red. And Sorceress's Schemes itself has flashback for 4 and a red.
Don't discount that add red.
Yeah.
That add red is just like it's tucked in there right at the end. I didn't even really see it, and then that gave me the kill.
Nice.
Dang. So is this like another possibly slightly better, not really better, probably just different in a way that's relevant in some corner cases, Mystic Retrieval?
Yeah. Yeah, I like that this gets back things from exile with flashback. It did work. Using this to buy back Suplex. Feels pretty good.
Suplex.
Scheming Sorceress suplexes a train, more at 11.
Hell yeah. Suplex seems like a great card. This one, my opponent had like 3 of these on one.
Sorcery or Braid, but it exiles the thing, like...
I think I was basically
Fantastic
playing
card.
no creature cards in my draft deck,
Okay.
except for I think I had one of the 1/3 wizard that comes with a black wizard, and then I
Missing
had
an Elder.
2 copies of the legendary Rakdos uncommon, who is a black wizard but does 2 damage.
Oh, Black Waltz number 3.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But
So if you need to, I've been really bad at this in most recent sets, but boy,
look at
if you need to remember names of cards, just write them all down on a spreadsheet and they'll burrow in there.
Well, you did more than that, right? You're working on a project. You've talked about already.
Yeah, it's about halfway. It's about halfway through.
Yeah, Graham is going to tell you about every card in this set, and while practicing that, I'm sure he has learned the names of the cards.
Oh my God, yes.
Yeah,
The takeaway from this
is great.
Yeah, the takeaway is that I love this deck. It dies instantly to 1 copy of the red Build Your Own Pyroclasm.
Oh, is it just Fire Magic? Is that
Might,
one?
yeah, I
or...
think it's just Fire Magic.
Oh
yeah. Is Fire Magic the one that's a sweeper? Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, Fire Magic.
Fire Magic, no good. Ironically enough, Fire Magic, no good for the black mages.
Right.
It's a single red mana with the tiered ability of Fire, Fyra, and Firaga. So for one red mana, it's 1 damage to each creature. For 2 in a red, it's 2 damage to each creature, and for 5 in a red, it's 3 damage to each creature. So yeah, you can build your own wrath. I thought you were talking about. I was using this one to great effect at the streamer event. Nibelheim of Flame.
Oh.
So it's you target your creature, and then we've seen this sort of effect before. You target your creature, it deals damage equal to its power to every other creature.
Oh, okay.
Right? So 2 red sorcery, do as I just described. It also has flashback for 5 red, and if you cast it from a graveyard, you discard your hand and draw 4 cards.
Well, that's kind of like an interesting flavor thing.
This card's cool, but in your deck that you just described, it would only be good if it followed up the Black Waltz number 3, because creatures have
wouldn't use
0
that in this.
power.
Yeah. And then there's also the what is it called? It's another black sorcery that buys a that comes with a black mage, but you draw 2 cards, and then all of your wizards get +1/+0 in lifelink.
Circle of Power.
Circle of Power.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
so all of your pings gain you life.
Yeah. Yeah, Circle of Power is very cool. Yeah, I just slipped this one into my sealed deck, actually, because my first sealed deck was bad.
Yeah.
If you haven't been watching along with by the way, we have a in-house sealed league of Final Fantasy. That the first it's every week we're airing three of the matches. The first batch of that will have aired already, so you should be able to watch that by now. And the second one is coming up. But the idea is each of us gets 2 games in a week, and I'm sitting on a cool 0 so far after week 1. Not a good pool, but we've now added our week 1 booster pack. And the pool's not like better, but I think the deck is better, and it's a totally different deck than I was playing in the first week.
Sometimes you just need to open one pack, and then you can change direction.
Yeah,
And the things that were like the weak part of the old pool become solid enough to build a deck.
Yeah, I was Boros, and now I'm Demir.
Okay,
so
right, yeah,
totally different.
Enough.
Yeah,
wildly different.
Yeah, I'm kind of playing an Orzhov tap out control.
Oh, neat. Okay, so I'm playing like an Orzhov aggro deck with a lot of copies of Paladin's Arms. And I have Dion, Bahamut's Dominant to give them flying.
Oh.
Because all the job select, if they're on, I have...
So Paladin's Arms, is the job select that makes them a Paladin. So it gives them, I think it's +2/+1.
+2/+1 and Ward 1. It's only 3 mana, so you get like a 3/2 pumped up hero token. The Ward 1 hasn't really come up yet, but if you can play Dion, then you have a 3-power flyer.
Because it's Dion and Knights get flying on your
Dion
turn.
and Knights have flying on your turn. So yeah, this card's really strong. And then I haven't gotten ever to untap with it and have 6 mana to flip it. Dion's pretty kill on sight and only has 3 toughness, but whatever. You get a Knight token and you get to make 1 attack with your flyers usually. But yeah, I have three of the Paladin's Arms and 1 of the Dark Knight's Greatsword, I think it's called. It's just the black, also makes the creature a knight equipment. And this, Dark Knight's Greatsword, also 3 mana. This time it makes it a 4/1, which is worse, but it equips by paying 3 life instead of 4 mana, which is kind of better. I don't have a ton of like ways to recoup that life, so this can just get turned off, but it's just another equipment that makes a knight. And then in my booster pack, I opened another Paladin's Arm, so I have like 5 of these 3-drop job selects now.
Jeez.
I'm not sure if there's anything else I really care about in my pack, but maybe next week.
I heard the Dark Knight in Final Fantasy XIV actually has a really compelling story.
Oh,
Yeah.
I would believe it.
I believe you.
I'm not aware.
Yeah, I haven't touched that one.
I like that the equip cost for this, you have to pay life.
Yeah.
It's the Dark Knight, which harkens back to if we see Cecil or Cecil, the Dark Knight.
I would play Cecil in my deck. Or Cecil.
The face-up one, he has the ability Darkness, which was Cecil's ability in Final Fantasy IV, which is that he deals damage but hurts himself.
Right.
That's how a Dark Knight works mechanically in the games. So yeah,
Nice.
That's super neat. I was pulled into Boros by Josh.
Oh, you have Josh.
The guy.
It's Josh.
It's Josh.
It's Joshua, Phoenix's dominant. In Final Fantasy 16, the summons in that game they're called icons, but spelled funny. They're like within specific people. So anyway, this is where Phoenix has been hanging out. I did get to have a pretty cool turn against Cameron, actually. You won this game on the next turn, but I had the Fire Crystal, which gives all your creatures haste and makes red cards cheaper. So I was able to play Joshua for 2 mana. He's a 3/4. When he enters, discard up to 2 cards and then draw that many cards, which I think I did 1. And then for 3 red, white, and tap, you exile Joshua and then return him as the Phoenix Saga, who is 4/4 flying and lifelink. The first 2 chapters are deals 2 damage to each opponent. So you gain life off those because it's Phoenix dealing the damage, and Phoenix has lifelink. And then the third chapter is Flames of Rebirth. Return any number of target creature cards with mana value 6 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield, and then you exile Phoenix and bring back Joshua. Hitting for a total of 6, because again they have haste because of the crystal.
You can crack with the Phoenix right away too.
Yeah, hitting for a total of 6 lifelink that turn was very cool and still not enough to defeat Cameron's deck.
Fair.
Yeah, I just sleeved up everything that returns a creature from the graveyard.
Yeah,
Okay,
dude.
so you're grinding your sleeve decks.
I couldn't keep your stuff dead.
Yeah, no, there's this is a format where it just rains removal. So I figured ways to avoid that are kind of clutch.
Yeah, if you have fight on,
Yep.
that's like a divination in this format or whatever, maybe better, right? Like
Yeah.
two and a black for instant, which is really nice. It's weird to
I
have
forget
one of
this
these
is
raised
instant.
deads to be instant.
Oh,
That's
it's
like
so good.
It's excellent.
it's very like there are instant speed zombify effects that people kind of like know about and like are a big deal, like makeshift mannequin from Lorwyn or whatever. But the instant raised dead is like pretty rare. Like I'm trying to think of how many other
Ever since
versions of
Dominaria,
this I can think of.
if a set has soul salvage,
Yeah.
I've been like, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Which is exactly this card, but sorcery.
Yeah.
Right? And so the fact that it's now instant is so much better.
Dominaria United had that even better one. Well, you had to be in green, right? But it was like Urborg Reclamation or whatever. Where
Yep.
it's like kicker, but you could get a non-land permanent instead of a creature for one of them.
real
But yeah,
good.
this one being an instant, like it's very...
Yeah.
It's wild that you can just choose to spend your turn on one of your kill spells or this, It's like very controlling.
Yeah, then I've got Evil Reawakened, which is just like your standard 5
Regular
yeah,
zombie
reanimate,
flying.
yeah.
Somehow X-Death returned.
And then also I found that Squall Seed Mercenary is quite good.
It's a good one.
His first ability, whenever a creature attacks alone, it gains double strike until end of turn. It's fine. Love that.
Yeah, it's a good.
He can usually get through because he's going to threaten to at least trade with anything up to like 6 toughness. That's most things in this set. And then whenever he deals combat damage to a player, return target permanent card with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. So I just had Squall gorging on instant ramen.
Yeah.
Nice.
Just like...
So if
Very good.
he's attacking alone, you're doing that twice.
You can if you
if you
connect
connect
with
both
them and you
times.
have
if you
something.
connect both times.
Yeah, you have two
and
things.
so, you can just like...
I guess
ramen
one
ba-
instant ramen
yeah.
can work too, right?
Yeah,
Like,
ramen back, sack it, and then Squall, you're gonna have to make some room there, buddy. I can't eat anymore.
Squall's trips to the bathroom at the restaurant.
Yeah, Squall's just like doing the Dam Buster Trundle across the battlefield as like he's got like you can hear him sloshing.
I'm so full of ramen.
Like no,
Squall's
sorry.
hollow leg.
Here comes the airplane. As,
Squall's second and third stomachs.
yeah. Yeah, you just like whenever he opens his mouth, you can just see like a noodle in the back.
Nice.
I mean, instant ramen's a pretty good curve filler that just fits into most decks. It's two mana artifact. It's got flash because it's instant. And then when it enters, you draw a card and you can sack it and you gain 3 life because it's food.
My only complaint about this card is that it needs the junk subtype.
Right. Yeah.
Oh,
You were saying
food
that.
junk. Yeah.
I forget what junk tokens even did.
They're like, yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, but like I mean, just give it like how Sir Ginger has food,
Right.
right?
Yeah, but
subtype.
it doesn't explicitly do the food thing. Just give it the subtype junk, even if it doesn't do the thing that junk
Yeah,
tokens
that
do.
would have been really smart.
What do they do? I forgot.
So junk tokens are from the Fallout set. They're like 0 mana artifact tokens, and you sacrifice them to exile the top card of your library, and you can play it this turn.
That's what it was. I remember that.
Okay,
I think that's right. But you know what? Instant ramen, it's like kind of borderline on terms of junk food. It's a ton of sodium and not a lot of like useful nutrients. But it is also like these are like legitimate carbs. Like, is instant ramen not a little bit more healthy than like a bag of potato chips?
Probably.
I feel like because
I
you're consuming water for some reason. I feel like because it's
because
soup.
there's water in there.
Because it's water, I want to say that instant ramen isn't junk food, even though I know.
Well, like
There's
the-
probably
the-
there's probably electrolytes.
There's a
it's
lot
got
of empty
electrolytes.
calories,
Look,
but-
Squall is a busy guy. He needs his salts.
Yeah.
Right? And you can put an egg in there if you want, maybe put some other veggies.
Yeah.
It's all fine.
It's got the magic card egg card type,
yeah,
This is a
Squall-
2-mana artifact. draws
and
a
like
card.
frankly, Squall isn't going to live long enough to really develop the kidney stones or the organ damage that is going to happen when he eats 8 instant ramen.
Not as a child mercenary. No.
No.
Right.
Yeah. That's just what they do in that world. They're just like, we've trained all these orphans to be mercenaries for hire. Oh, that's messed up. Yeah.
Yeah, wait, they aren't even like they're mercenaries. They aren't part of like the regular military.
No.
No?
It's not
Oh.
even a government thing. They're literally just like, yeah, we train orphans
just like
at
Blackwater?
our school. You can hire us. Yes. They literally, your first mission in the game is that like a revolutionary group is like, hey, can we hire some people? We're really broke. And the headmaster's like, fine. You can hire 3 of them, but like they've only just graduated, so they're
We're
they're
going to give
very
you our
mid.
level 1 guys.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And it's like, Jesus, okay.
So you've got Squall and the white-black value grind. That's your deck for Sealed League, right?
Yeah. And then
What's
I've got Ultima.
What's the Cecil that you have?
Oh, yeah,
because it's one of the Through the Ages one.
It's Through the Ages. Cecil as Timna the Weaver.
Oh, Timna. So it's literally just Timna the Weaver.
It's Timna the Weaver from Theros era Commander. She was a 2/2, 1 black-white, with lifelink at the beginning of each of your post-combat main phases, you may pay X life, where X is the number of opponents who were dealt damage this turn if you do draw X cards.
Okay.
So, Cecil's going to draw me a card per turn, hopefully.
Yeah.
It's got some different word down at the bottom. Pardner.
Pardner.
It's probably some commander thing.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, and it's got a mana art, right? But in most cases, Cecil is just going to be a 3-mana 2/2 with lifelink, which is fine, right?
Well,
Draws a card every once in a while.
Yeah, I mean, it's like either this is if you're just hitting your opponent for free, this feels like a win more card, but also offers the possibility of making sketchy attacks to draw cards.
Yeah.
So not like it and 3 mana, so not entirely like not a bad card. I don't want to say
your opponent is going
not
to
entirely
want to
win more
block.
card. Yeah,
right?
for sure. It's an incentive not to take damage, whereas typically we look at our life as resources and we're happy to take damage instead of lose our creatures in situations where we feel like we can win. But Cecil really says like, hey, you should probably block.
Yeah.
I just killed it on sight because I was like, I don't want Cameron to draw extra cards. And it turned out I killed Cecil and then killed Squall, and then Cameron brought them both back. And I killed Squall the second time actually with I think an uncommon that I really want to talk about. Summon Primal Garuda.
Yeah, Primal Garuda is kind of the business in Limited, I feel.
So it's 3 and a white for a 3/3 flyer. It is an uncommon. Chapter 1 is Aerial Blast. This creature deals 4 damage to target tapped creature an opponent controls. So it's one that you sort of hold until there's a target for it. And you should also probably have another creature in play because the second and third chapters are Slipstream, which is another target creature you control gains +1/+0 and flying until end of turn.
Yeah.
So recall that the summons go away, but this means the play pattern for this is you play this, you kill a creature, maybe you get to attack with something else. On your next turn, you're attacking in the air with Garuda and a different creature that you've now given flying and a buff. And then on the next turn, Garuda goes away, but still gives that flying and buff. So like this is killing a creature and putting in a lot of damage over the next couple turns.
Yeah, this feels a lot like white Chupa thingy. Right?
Ravenous Chupacabra?
Yeah, Ravenous Chupacabra. Like, was Ravenous Chupacabra sticking around for more than 2 turns, really? It was a 2/2, right? It got something and then blocked.
Right, it didn't do much besides its trigger. Like, its trigger was the main reason for it.
Yeah.
Don't discount, too, the, like, extra turn you get of your opponent not really wanting to attack into your saga. I mean, unless they don't care. But
that's true.
It's like, these creatures are here for a good time, not a long time. So the play pattern every time you have a saga is sort of like they play it, and then you're like, okay, well, I can attack into it, but if I offer them any kind of meaningful trade, then they got something out of their saga. Whereas like I have to decide whether that's more important or just like letting them hit me once, as Graham described, like the sort of typical play pattern or whatever, right? So you have to decide whether you're willing to just let them do that at the cost of you getting some damage in. Maybe, it's obviously going to depend on different board states, but if you, as the Primal Garuda player, don't attack when you untap with it, now you get 2 turns of being like, hey, this is a 3/3 blocker.
Yeah.
It has flying, like it'll kill one of your creatures if you attack. Then it's like 2 turns of them not wanting to make that trade, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, it feels like it's a 2-for-1.
For
right?
sure.
Yeah. Just feels good.
Yeah.
I had another summon in my deck as well that it's got some curious templating that I realize means that I might have not used it correctly. I didn't like do the rules wrong, but I might have used it incorrectly, which is it's Brunhilde, but it's Brynhildr.
Right.
The way that it's spelled, it's from
GF Brynhildr or something.
No, it's from Final Fantasy 13, so it's
summon.
Yeah, it's like Saz. It's the one Saz turns into. Anyway, so it's 1 and a red for a 2/1. And then the first ability is you exile the target card to your library, and then during any turn you put a lore counter on this saga, you may play that card.
Right.
And I didn't play this on turn 2 because I was like, well, I don't want to just exile a card and it goes away forever. But of course, the way it's worded like that is that on the next turn, and even the turn that this goes away, you have put a saga counter on the saga, so you don't have to play it that turn. You can play it on your third or fourth turn if you play this on turn 2. And then the chapter 2 and 3 is when you next play a creature this turn against haste. So, it's not like a sort of a big impact, but it's neat. It's a neat little thing.
I mean, you could argue not wanting to play it on turn 2, especially unlimited. Like if you're going to hit a 6-drop on top of your deck or something, you might want to wait until you're like secure on having the mana to hit any random card from your deck. There's an argument for that. But it is a pretty cool aggressive drop. Like say you hit a card that you can't cast, or you just don't get any value out of the first chapter. You still like turn 3, you might attack with it, and then both those next 2 turns your creatures have haste, so you might be able to like tempo swing. But yeah, all of these sagas, you have to try and figure out a way to make them get some kind of value while they're there, and they offer an interesting puzzle because, as Cameron was pointing out earlier, like there's tons of removal, and these ones have a removal on them built in. So like when you're looking at your deck, you have to be careful you don't have too many creatures that like die to like all the removal plus like these things that kill themselves.
I definitely encountered that on the stream where I was like, okay, and then the turn after that, I'm going to have 2 less blockers.
Right. If you have multiple sagas.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Your landscape isn't. It's harder to calculate than a normal game of Magic, right? Like each turn these sagas are in play is one closer to them being dead, and
it's a really interesting design space, and I love this as a representation of the summons in Final Fantasy. I think it's a very elegant design choice.
Flavor, absolute like crush.
Yeah.
Big win flavor wise, making these saga creatures for the summons. Very nice.
In the streamer thing as well, I had a lot of good work with Esper Origins. It's a rare, but it's
this card's so interesting.
It's super interesting.
Yeah.
Esper Origins in mono green.
So one in a green for a sorcery. You surveil 2 and gain 2 life. So,
don't draw a card.
Yeah, you just surveil 2 and gain 2 life. And honestly, if you have nothing else to do, that's a fine thing to do on turn 2.
Well, I want to argue that that's below the curve, but okay. Because like that I think is the most interesting thing about this card is like you got to get in your graveyard somehow. Usually you do that by casting it, but you have to pay 2 mana to just surveil and gain 2 life.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, if you have nothing else to do, like I would, when I was presented with the options, I would be playing creatures or, anything else.
Discard this to Joshua. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's a good one. But then you can flash it back for 3 in a green. So you again surveil 2 and gain 2 life. And if the spell was cast from a graveyard, so if you did cast for flashback, then you exile it and put it onto the battlefield transformed under its owner's control with a finality counter on it. Meaning if it would die, then it exiles instead, and then it's going to exile itself. It's going to totally go away when all the saga counters. When it gets all its saga counters. So it comes back in as Summon Maduin, which is a 4/4. And the first chapter is reveal the top card of your library. If it's a permanent, put it into your hand. You've just surveilled 2.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you get to like prep this, which is great.
Yeah.
I didn't sort of twig that was going to happen until the first time I cast it. And it was one of those like, oh,
yes.
It's like, oh, I get it moments where you're like, oh, this is actually really cool.
You should be drawing a card.
Yeah, exactly. Then chapter 2 is add 2 green, so you can then sort of basically what I like about this is you've gained life. By this point, you've gained 4 life. You've done a lot of like massaging at the top of your deck or putting stuff in your graveyard. Then this comes down as it's a 4/4 blocker that then gives you extra mana to like really set up. And then the last chapter, this is overrun. And maybe you get to do that. I did. It was great. But maybe you don't get to do that. That also happened. It was still great.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just having the time and the 4/4 blocker and like the extra mana and card draw to like set up other stuff was very handy.
Yeah. I bet this looks great in foil. Can we see the front of this again?
I mean, yeah. Say you don't untap and get your
Yeah,
+2/+2
baby.
trample. Like attack with your 4/4 Esper Maduin the turn after you've flashed it back, and if they want to keep you off that trigger, maybe they have to block with their best creature, and it's like, okay, well, I drew a card, I set my graveyard up, I got some extra mana back, and I killed their thing. Like, that all is pretty great. I just, like, I had this in one pool. I think I might have played it on Friday morning, but I don't know if I drew it, and I just couldn't figure out, like, is this worth the mana? You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
Because the front side, like, if you have a way to discard this card, like, if I can just pay 4 mana to get the back half of, or like both halves of Esper Origins,
Right.
I think I'm like super sold on this card for limited, or maybe even other formats. But because you have to play the front half, I'm like a little bit nervous. You know, maybe Esper Maduin even for 6 mana is fine. You know,
Yeah.
like if you try to like analyze it as like you don't do anything until you're on 6, and then you got to cast both halves of this card, and then set up from there. That might still actually be a decent card.
I guess if you have, for example, if you have the green crystal or the earth the earth crystal and a big asterisk on that, which I'll get back to in a moment, which cost reduces green spells, then that's pretty wild, because then that's also cost reducing the flashback cost, isn't it? Because you're
For sure,
casting
it's
that.
still a spell.
So it's 1 green to get it in the bin, and then three mana to get it back
Yeah.
out. That would be pretty
That's pretty
backbreaking.
hot.
I realize I'm describing putting 2 rares together, but the reason I wanted to talk about the Earth Crystal actually is because I have this in my.
They put a lot of rares in the packs these days, though.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Like I had a pool with this on the stream. I have this in my league pool, and I'm not playing it because the cost reduction is cool. The 4 mana do nothing by itself artifact for a cost reducer is not worth. Granted, this has its big ability, which is 4 green and tap it, and you get to distribute 2+1/+1 counters, and that synergizes with its first ability, which I am about to read, which is if 1 or more +1/+1 counters will be put on a creature you control, you put twice that many on instead. So you can combine that to put 2 counters on 2 creatures, 2 counters each on 2 creatures. But if you don't have enough other stuff in your deck that is already doing counters, this is not doing enough for a 4 mana rare artifact.
Yeah, you really need to like hit a second activation of 6 mana and tap this, targeting your stuff in order to feel like, okay, this was worth 16 mana or whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And or maybe it's only 10 because you got some back from other creatures or whatever. But it's like you got to spend a ton of mana before you're and time like tapping this thing before you're like, okay, I built like a board off of just this card, like my idiot, chocobos or whatever,
like,
are 10/10s now.
Obviously this has the potential to be much more powerful in a deck that can really take advantage of it. Right. But Cameron and I already mentioned that we were both running the Fire Crystal, and that's just, it cost reduces red spells by 1, and your creatures gain haste.
Yeah.
Right.
So
that's pretty
all you have to
easy
do
to take advantage of.
all you have to do for that is have a creature.
And it's so good with the sagas.
It's so good with sagas.
I forget what even my red one or the Fire Crystal activated ability is.
I think you cast a spell or draw a card or something.
It's copy a creature.
Copy a
okay.
creature.
Yeah, so the Fire Crystal,
and then you sacrifice it into turn or something.
James, you make a token copy
Excuse me, sorry.
of a creature you control, and you sacrifice the beginning of the next
Right.
step.
Okay. Again for 6. I actually really liked the Darkness Crystal or whatever the black one's called.
The Darkness Crystal is very good.
So Jacob had me over to help build his pool for the 30th last week, and I talked him out of playing this. I was like, 4 mana for a cost reducer is like pretty bad.
I'm glad you agree on that point.
For sure. All these cards, like the cost reduction, it's twice as much mana as you should be spending on that effect.
Yeah,
and we already
have Jet Amulets.
Yeah,
for this kind of work.
Yeah, we already don't usually recommend playing those in limited, right? But then the second line, I was like, this probably doesn't matter that much either, unfortunately, because in a lot of limited games, you don't live out of your graveyard. Some decks do, right? So if you can stuff like Cameron's fight on and spells, like that's great. And Ironically, I also boarded or had this in my pool for the first sealed, like the intro stream we did, the long FNPF, and I ended up boarding it in against Wheeler because his deck was playing so many again of these black recurring spells, and his plan was just to mill himself and then win with Laboratory Maniac, and he would be like recurring those. So I was trying to stop him from doing that, but I also just found that like the 6 mana for the get a creature exiled with this came up sooner than I was expecting and was more relevant.
Yeah,
so,
like 6 mana reanimate.
Yeah, it has to be one of the things that died.
Yeah,
so it has to be a creature that
read through
that died. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the second ability is if a non-token creature opponent controls would die, exile it instead, and you gain 2 life. Right, and I also just missed the first, before even being in a game, I missed that you gain 2 life. And that ended up being super relevant too. Every time one of their creatures dies, non-token creatures, you gain 2 life. And now for 4 black, and tap it, you put a target creature exiled with this onto the battlefield tapped under your control with 2 additional +1/+1 counters. Not sorcery.
There's no sorcery speed.
That's right. Yeah, that was the other thing. So it was the 2 life and the fact that you can do this at end of turn. And after I had gone through a turn cycle or 2 of that, I was like, oh, this card's actually kind of good.
Yeah, like if I could open one of this for my league deck, I would be an extremely happy camper.
There you go. Yeah.
That would, with everything else you got going on in there, that'd be gross.
So you played that stream as well, that sealed, right? I played against Wheeler to start things off.
Yeah.
And then did you play against Jacob or?
Yeah, I think I played against Jacob. I was just on Boros equipment.
Okay.
Because I had Gilgamesh and then a bunch of just like, the equipment that makes hero tokens, and it was just like, I'm going to attrite you early game with these like disposable guys, and then suit up Gilgamesh and then swing for
what
a
does
brilliant.
Gilgamesh do again? There we go. 4 red for a 6/6 human samurai. Whenever Gilgamesh enters or attacks, they've been using that a lot recently.
Yeah.
Look at the top 6 cards of your library. You may put any number of equipment cards from among them onto the battlefield. You put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. And when you do that, when you put one into play, you can attach one of them to a samurai you control. In this format, I think that's probably just Gilgamesh.
Might just be Gilgamesh.
I think Lightning is a samurai as well. There's a couple of like accidental samurai floating around.
That kind of tracks, sure. I'd believe that.
You can put any number of equipment from among the top 6, hey?
Yeah.
Nice.
So like
you can only attach one of them for free.
Yeah, sometimes you just hit a Monk's Fist.
Sure.
Right?
Well, I mean, it's value. It puts them onto the battlefield, right?
Yeah.
So if you can hit even just like the warrior sword.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, it's totally...
Maybe you don't even want to equip it. You're just like, I have a 6/6 and I have a 4/3.
Yeah, if this guy instead had an ability that says to put 2 1/1 hero tokens into play, I mean, that wouldn't be exciting, but you would look at it and go, I guess so, right?
I also led with Boros equipment. I built 2 decks out of my Friday pool, and my Boros equipment deck didn't have a ton of reach. I did lose the game I played with it, and like it didn't go super great for me, but I had Cloud and Barrett. So and Cloud actually had a relevant target. So Cloud, if you haven't seen yet, new Stoneforge Mystic like creature, white for a 2/1 legendary mercenary soldier, human. And when it enters, you can search your library for equipment, put in your hand, and then also as long as Cloud is equipped, if an ability of Cloud or an equipment attached to Cloud triggers, that ability triggers an additional time. So fantastic with like the Swords of Fire and Ice from Mirrodin or whatever.
But
also,
how does this interact with Skull Clamp?
Right, exactly. Goes great with Skull Clamp. I'm pretty sure you draw 4 cards. I haven't hit that yet, but I think that's how it works. And then also in my pool, I had the Genji Glove.
Oh, yeah.
Which I think is also from Final Fantasy V, which I didn't play. But
take a million extra turns.
Yeah,
there've been a bunch of Genji Gloves. The one from 5 doesn't do this.
Oh, okay.
It just means that you can't be paralyzed or turned into a frog. But soft or silenced. I think I can't remember exactly. It
protects you from some status.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, this one, it's Kathleen and I were going back and forth on this because it's like, yeah, it's 5 to cast and 3 to equip.
It doesn't have job select.
That's expensive.
It's a lot of mana.
And then the equipped creature gets double strike. But then when that creature attacks, if it's the first combat phase, you untap it, and then there's another combat phase.
Yeah.
So this can kind of just end a game.
Yeah, so if you have like another equipment on Cloud, like if you get Cloud up to like, let's say 5 power, Now, and with a Genji Glove, now it's like they attack, they untap, so now there's going to be 2 combat steps that Cloud's in, plus maybe you have other creatures. But Cloud alone is like threatening to deal 20 damage.
Yeah.
You know, if you can raise his power, like if you put the Warrior Sword on.
I mean, like, or Dragoon's Lance.
For sure,
Right?
yeah, that's
Give
a great one.
something evasion.
Yeah, if
right?
you just give it 1 more power and flying, even just flying, and if you have the Genji Glove on it, now he's hitting for 8, right? Like, it's pretty terrifying. I never got to do that, but I did show off the pieces. And then my other deck, I played black-green, and it didn't have any of this Cloud of Darkness, which seems like the glue that sort of holds the black-green together. I had an X-Death, but in the rare category, I had Genova, and unfortunately didn't draw it in either of my games. I actually drew it like right at the end after like the paint was already starting to dry in game 2 against Wheeler. I was like, well, I'm cooked. I just don't want to show him this because I want to play one more game of Seal, then hopefully it'll be a surprise. But anyways, Genova, really strong card. It's another rare, but you'll see it. I think most Genovas that get opened and limited will probably get played. 2 black-green for a 1/5 legendary alien. At the beginning of combat on your turn, put a number of +1/+1 counters equal to Genova's power on up to one other target creature. That creature becomes a mutant. And whenever a mutant you control dies during your turn, you draw cards equal to its power. So if you can pump like the rat that drops a treasure, really anything, any job select or whatever, and then just make attacks where your opponent doesn't really want to take damage, you get to draw so many cards. Yeah. Did either of you, or go ahead? Yeah. So, and
Oh yeah, no. What were you?
yeah,
saying?
did you play? You didn't play the Friday at all, but you got some drafts in, and
Yeah.
I just played this sealed on Friday. Now I'm in the league as well.
I did some sealed Zan drafts on the Wednesday stream, and I think broadly, this is fun. This is a fun limited format.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think once you get your mind around the fact that it's going to be raining removal,
Yes.
you come to peace with that, and you realize that your Cloud is going to die.
Sure. All your favorite characters are going to die.
Everyone dies.
They printed 100 legendary creatures and 200 terrors.
Yep. I think it's a really interactive format with some interesting play patterns.
I just double checked because I was like, "Is Lightning a samurai?" You'll love this, Cameron. Lightning, not a samurai.
Oh, okay.
Gilgamesh is the only samurai in the set. However,
Commander?
no. There's a Through the Ages reprint of what's his name, Ishin. That is Lightning.
Oh, okay.
Oh, neat.
Okay.
So there is a Lightning card that is draftable or openable and sealed. So fundamentally, in the set, as far as
Right.
limited is concerned, that is Lightning as a samurai. So correct. Good job.
Okay.
Ishin, 2 heavens is 1. Oh, this is from Commander Kamigawa, right?
Yeah.
This wasn't. I don't even think this was in the regular Neon Dynasty.
Oh, this is the guy who's got like the techno fans.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or no, wait.
Or was this card in regular Neon Dynasty?
Yes, it was.
Oh, it was in regular. Okay. Sorry.
Yeah.
Maybe it was a mythic rare. Probably.
He was
No,
like
just
the
a regular
samurai.
rare.
Was it regular rare? Okay,
Yeah,
fair enough.
he has like a
I don't
big
know if I ever
beard, right?
drafted this guy.
This guy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. He's got a big
If an
beard.
attacking ability causes, if a
right.
creature attacking causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control a trigger, that happens a second time.
So that'll work with Gilgamesh as well as Cloud that we saw earlier.
Oh no!
There's a bunch, really. Yeah. This also doubles up the Genji Glove, right?
Yep.
And has 3 power, unlike Cloud's too.
And while that will only trigger if it's the first combat, if it triggers twice, that means you will get 2 additional combats.
Yeah, that's wild.
Same as what happens with Tifa in the commander decks.
I don't want to wrap the podcast up until I've mentioned one more card. Have either of you played against Kathleen in Sealed?
I
League?
have.
I have.
Yeah?
I lost.
Okay. Do you know which card I'm talking about? Did you both play against Kathleen? Or?
I did. I don't. What card? Oh, is it Mughals Valor?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Things were looking okay for Nelly in this match. I have like a pretty low curve black-white deck in Sealed featuring like Rufus and Dion I mentioned.
I saw you posting on Blue Sky about this.
Yeah, like things were
Yeah.
looking okay. I can make my knights fly, and like we have kind of a decent back and forth, but I'm continuing the pressure, and then eventually I'm like, okay, well, she's got 1 card left in hand, so she can probably kill one of my creatures. I'll try to figure it out. Okay, yeah, I think if I just attack with everybody, then I can lose a creature, and then you have it too. Gross. Okay. Yeah, I'm surprised you haven't talked about this card yet. Fair
I've
enough.
never gotten to flop it.
Oh, you haven't drawn it
Yeah,
yet.
I haven't
It's
drawn
so
it yet.
messed
Oh
up.
my god, dude!
Yeah.
Like buckle your seatbelt. So yeah, I attack with like 9 creatures into her like 3 of them are flying. She only has 1 flying blocker, but then she has like 4 other creatures on the ground. I'm like, okay, I think I got to make this attack, and then hopefully I can beat a combat trick of some sort. No, I was wrong. I can't beat a combat trick of some sort if it's Moogle's Valor. This is 3 white for an instant. It says for each creature you control, create a 1/2 Moogle token with lifelink. Then creatures you control gain indestructible until end of turn. So none of her creatures are dying. She gets to block with lifelink creatures now, so the combat math for lethal is completely wrecked, and I'll lose like 4 or 5 of my creatures. And then obviously the game, like 4 turns later. And this happened both games too. I managed to have like my game against her was just like I have first turn Tonberry both games, and then I play out like my cheap equipment and like equip the Tonberry at some point, and like my early game looks great.
Yeah.
And then the second game I'm like, okay, you got the mana open. I'll just attack with Tonberry, because it's like, well, if you don't have Moogle's Valor, this is fine. Like, you block or not. I don't care. And if you do have Moogle's Valor, I only lose Tonberry. Like, theoretically, it's only 1 white mana. Nah, it didn't matter. It's just like the number of creatures I attack with doesn't shrink the number of Moogles they get. So basically, just like having Moogle's Valor in your hand kind of means the game is over for your opponent.
So you were just feeding Tonberries to Moogles.
Yeah, I mean,
it's not Settle the Wreckage, but it fills that
that
evolutionary
morale
niche.
demolishing niche in the format.
I mean,
of
yeah,
Settle the Wreckage.
I was so emotionally like drained after losing to a game 1 that like I put it in the same headspace of like how to deal with this card as Settle the Wreckage. I'm like, she has Settle the Wreckage. Play around Settle the Wreckage. So then I tried, and it's like it's actually better than Settle the Wreckage. It doesn't even care that you only attacked with 1 creature.
So is it Moogle the Wreckage or Settle the Moogle?
Ooh.
Also, Wheeler has this in his pool as well.
Oh my god.
Oh, good. Everybody has Moogle's Valor except me.
It
awesome.
It destroyed Ben.
I believe you.
Yeah.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
mean, like,
Settle the Moogles, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Neither of
having
these
played
is
a
great.
little bit of
Yeah.
Final Fantasy XIV, I now understand that this is just what Moogles do. They ruin your day. They're just little bastards
They're
that
little
show.
guys that deliver the mail.
Yeah, that too. But in 14, they're just like, I hate these things.
Oh right.
They save Locke and Terra from the mines under Narshe. Like,
Do we know why?
Halfway through an escape.
Do we know why they did that? It was probably for their own nefarious ends.
Well, after seeing this
Perfidious
card,
Moogle.
I'm just like, why didn't they just go fight the Emperor immediately?
Yeah, the Moogles could have done this at any time. They're like Final Fantasy's version of the Eagles. It's like, why
Yeah.
don't the Eagles just handle this on their own?
Yeah.
Do they like watching us suffer? I think they do.
The Moogles just climbing up the tower of trash and feeding shots to Kefka.
Yeah.
Great. Hey everyone, that's going to do it for Tap Tap Concede. Thank you all so much for watching and listening. I want to remind you all about Card Kingdom. Check out cardkingdom.com/LRR. Get yourself a Moogle's Valor. Why not?
Everyone else has one.
Dragon Shield. Use the code LRRMTG5. And most importantly, everything we do here is brought to you by you and your support of our Patreon or becoming a member on this YouTube channel. Until next time, I've been Graham, joined by Nelson.
Kupo.
And Cameron.
Huh?
James has been on tech. Heather gets these online. Thank you all so much for watching. Talk to you next time.